So let's start by just looking around the room, wherever you are, whatever space you're in. Just notice the simple inherent silence of the objects around you. I'm looking at a couch, for instance. And the couch is, it's just being there in complete silence, complete simplicity. It doesn't have to think about, oh, how should I sit? How do I be? It doesn't have to doesn't work at being a couch. Just the simplicity of its being, the silence of its being, the effortlessness of its being. Then I'm looking over at a cabinet. Same thing. So please do this. Look around the room, look at one object, another, and really get that. Really note the silence of it, the simplicity of its being as it is moment to moment. And then notice the seat that's under you, whether it's a couch or a chair or a cushion, whatever it is. So probably you don't see it, but you feel it beneath you. And it's that same quality of silence, simplicity. It's just being there, just being as it is. No decisions for it to make, no work for it to do. So what if we just take our cue from all these objects that are surrounding us? Maybe you don't need some guy in a purple t-shirt to tell you how to meditate. Maybe all these objects are showing you. Just sitting with that simplicity, with that natural silence. So we can sit like that. If you feel like closing your eyes, you can close your eyes. Just resting in exactly the same naturalness, simplicity, silence, beingness of every other object. They're all pointing the way for us. Just follow their cue. So there's nothing for us to do, nothing to figure out, no special state of mind to try to create. Nothing to push away from us or pull toward us. Just sitting and being, resting in our natural silence. we might think, well, yeah, but a couch doesn't have, thoughts showing up and feelings and memories showing up and so forth, which seem so active and noisy. But, a couch will have people sit down on it. Couch might go through a whole party, people sitting on it, laughing, talking, telling stories. But throughout, the couch is unchanged. The couch itself is unchanged, is remains silent in its beingness. So the thoughts and the feelings and memories and everything that come along, fine. Just think of those as like party goers sitting on the couch. It's fine for all the thoughts, everything to be there. They don't change the simplicity, the silence of what you are. This beingness that you are, within which or upon which the thoughts come and go like party guests. You are not your thoughts. You are not your feelings. You're not your memories or your hopes or fears. You're this silent beingness, this silent awareness within which all that other stuff comes and goes. So just abide in what you are. And be welcoming but disinterested in the stuff that comes and goes. All of it is fine. None of it matters. anytime you find that your attention has kind of locked on to some thoughts or memories or feelings, just soften your attention. We could say relax your grip, or we could say soften your attention. And notice that as soon as you do that, as soon as you soften the attention, very automatically, it tends to subside back into yourself, into the silent beingness that you are. It has a natural attraction for that. So we don't have to go toward anything or away from anything. Just if you find yourself focusing on something else, soften the focus. The rest is automatic. Automatically, you're relaxing back into yourself. Sometimes we have to do that once or twice in a meditation, sometimes hundreds of times, doesn't matter. Whatever's happening right now is exactly right, exactly what has to happen. As the mind feels its way more and more toward just resting in its source, resting in beingness, silent awareness. we may notice that this silent beingness, which is what you are, has no texture. See if it has a texture. If you feel that you're experiencing some subtle texture, then that's something you're aware of, something that's showing up within the awareness. That's a guest that's sitting on the couch. That's not the couch. So notice that this awareness itself, this beingness itself, is textureless. We've already noticed that it's silent, it's silence, so it's soundless. See if it has a size. When we start this kind of investigation, we may find ourselves subtly trying to experience the beingness as if it's an object. But of course, we can't. It would be like a mirror trying to have a reflection of itself. Or like a knife can cut anything else, but a knife can't cut itself. A scale can weigh anything, it can't weigh itself. So just like the scale, the knife, the mirror, we rest in our own nature. Don't try to look at it from the outside because there's no outside to go to. No outside, no inside, no anything. But not dead, not inert. Luminous, not with physical light, but with the light of knowing, the light of awareness. Which has no size, no edges, no anything. And is where you've been all along. It's what you've been all along. Right here. Just rest right here. Now take 2 or 3 minutes and just keep the eyes closed as you start to gently bring the body back to a more active state. So you might want to shift your position in this seat, maybe start to stretch your limbs, move around a bit. And when you feel ready, you can slowly open the eyes. Okay. How's everybody doing? Everybody good? Good. Excellent. Any questions or comments? You're limited to the fields of being, awareness, interaction with the world. In other words, everything. Yes, Anna, you can unmute yourself, please.
I'm continuing to observe my body. So I somehow found out that I am kind of feeling disconnected between my upper part and lower part. Something is missing on my lumbar, whatever, the stomach area. So I'm kind of waiting for connection, but it's not coming. So do I just waiting for it? Do I need to do something about it? I know I most probably I don't, but I would love to have this, to be connected between the sky and earth. I don't know how. So could you talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, no, it's an interesting observation, an interesting question. I would say first thing I would say is the basic, your fundamental orientation on this is right on, which is just leave it. Don't you know, even when you say, I think you said something like you've been observing the body, even during meditation. I'm going to assume that what you meant was noticing the sensation of the body. Good, right. See, that's a little different. And we always want to be as precise as we can with these words, because if we say observing, then that implies, oh, this is where a deliberate, active thing. So you're absolutely right. Yeah, we don't do that, because what our whole thing is, if we find ourselves engaged in any task, any observing this, watching that, looking for this, hoping for that, then we're engaged in something that's finite. We're engaged in some phenomenon within the awareness. And so our one job, right? We have only one job here, which is anytime we find ourselves doing that, as I said in the meditation tonight, just soften the attention, soften the focus, relax the grip on whatever that task or that observing or that whatever it is, and just allow yourself to subside back into the beingness, right? Now, in the course of doing that, over the course of the minutes of a particular session, and then the weeks and the months of session after session, a lot of stuff gets spontaneously straightened out, right? You've heard me use the analogy of the twisted up rubber band, that our nervous system, getting subjected to its various stresses and traumas over the years, it's like twisting up a rubber band. And then meditation's like putting the twisted up rubber band down on the tabletop. Once we put it in that situation where it has space around it, where there's no pressure on it, it starts to unravel spontaneously. It gets straightened out. It starts to, God bless you, Fuding. It starts to lose all its own knots. But in the process of doing that, it tends to jump and dance around in unpredictable ways. So that jumping and dancing around can take various forms. One of the forms it can take is noticing sensations. Gee, I feel like my upper body is disconnected from my lower body. Or here's one. How many of you have ever experienced this one? I feel like my head is very big. Right? Okay, you've had that. Or I feel like I don't have any hands. Or I feel like I'm floating, or I feel like I'm spinning, or I feel like things are kind of like sizzling, something like that. All kinds of stuff. Or can be, it seems like visual stuff. Oh, I'm feeling, it seems like sparkly stuff, or feels like, or it can be literally like the rubber band, literally body movements, or sudden changes in your breathing. Sometimes there's like a sudden deep breath, or finding yourself laughing or even crying for no particular reason. It's all the old knots getting unraveled out of the rubber band, right? So we just know that something good is happening. leave it as it is, and in time, yes, it does get clear. The stuff gets clear. Now, there are things, I would say outside of that meditation, I would say keep that meditation in its pristine simplicity. But then, I would say outside of the meditation time, if you want to take some time, sometimes to just notice, okay, what's going on with my body awareness, kind of scanning from the inside. And just sort of having some attention on that. And if you notice, oh, okay, it feels hot over here, or feels cold over here, or feels vivid and present here, and it feels more, as you're saying, absent here, whatever it is, just kind of notice that. So this is a little bit something different. Now we are observing the sensations of the body. And just having some awareness, not trying to manipulate it, not trying to change it, but just having some noticing of it. And you may find that in so doing, that maybe accelerates a little bit that process of, filling in the part that feels missing to you, something like that. But I would keep that, only if that feels, you try that out for a few minutes, it feels, oh yeah, it feels like maybe that's a productive exploration, and keep that separate from your regular meditation. Is that clear?
I cannot keep it separate. I'm not controlling what happened in meditation. It just comes.
Yeah, we don't.
I can't put it away. It's
right.
just somehow it's the same thing. I really can separate less and less. I can separate my everyday functioning from meditation. I can.
Yeah, that happens to everyone, right? Because
so those separation happening for last 2-3 weeks, and then that just felt extremely strong now. So I just really felt it.
Yeah,
I kind of missing but it's not only in meditation. It's kind of overall, like
right.
Okay. Over all my life.
Okay, but now listen to this carefully. One thing is, yeah, absolutely right. And I say this over and over, we can't control what happens in meditation. We can't, we're on the bus, we're not driving the bus. Okay. But we do choose whether we're trying to grab the steering wheel and drive the bus, right? If we naturally, because everything else in life, we're always, many things we're driving, or at least we think we're driving, then, naturally we tend to bring that into the meditation. But when you find yourself trying to control, trying to push away the thoughts, or fill in the missing so-called parts of the body or so forth, when you find yourself doing that, this is the crucial thing, then you relax your grip on it. That's the difference between being in meditation and being in the outer world. When you're in the outer world, you're in the other 23 and a half hours of the day, you're driving, sometimes you're literally driving a vehicle. You don't just say, oh, I'm just going to let go and let this vehicle go wherever it is. You'll wind up killing people, right? So we don't do that. In meditation, we do that. We let go of anytime we find ourselves gripping the wheel, we let go of the wheel. That's the crucial distinction. Now, what does change over time is more and more, yeah, it's true that the distinction between out of meditation and in meditation does become less, but it's important to be very clear about this. What happens is more and more the sense of what is it that does the actions, right? The body does physical actions. The mind thinks thoughts. The mouth speaks words. More and more it becomes clear to us we're not any of those things. We're the beingness, the awareness within which it's all experienced. More and more we realize that what we are is on permanent vacation. Now, if that makes sense to you, if that resonates in you, this is why more and more we find that there's we feel less stressed, we feel less wear and tear, because with all the stuff we do, because it gets clearer that it's not us doing it. Very often people will say, after they're meditating for 6 months or a year or a couple of years, I did all this stuff. At the end of the day, I was sitting on the edge of my bed, taking my socks off. I felt like all this stuff had happened, but nothing had happened. All this stuff had gotten done, but I felt like somehow, in some way, I can't quite explain, like I wasn't doing any of it. Right. And so if that resonates for you now, great. If not, we'll bring it up again next year. But for now, it would just be very, very simple, very clear. We want to be very clear on this practice point. Then in meditation, we don't try to control. We don't try to manipulate, because that's opting for something smaller than what the meditation is. The meditation is relaxing back into being, which is boundless. Anything else is going to be bounded. Anything else is going to have specificity. That's going to be smaller. And there can be a place for that. Like you find yourself, I mean, that's what I was trying to convey about there could be a place outside of meditation for looking at this body thing. Like, for instance, during meditation, you know, if I'm on a writing project, I can find myself trying to work out how to phrase this sentence exactly right. There's a place for that, but it's in the other 23 hours. So if I'm in meditation, find myself doing that, relax my grip, let it go. Outside of meditation, yeah, fine, great, focus on that. Okay, good. Good, what else tonight?
Hey, Dean.
Hey, Cole.
Just had a few comments.
Mhm.
I just wanted to say that kind of onboarding process we did, or that you led, was great for me. I really liked that.
Yeah,
Made
me
a lot
too.
of sense. And it certainly helped me kind of view meditation in a different light.
Yeah.
And another thing, I do hope you post this, because I do go to your YouTube and sometimes use your videos as like a guided meditation. But anyways, another thing that I liked was when you said, like, you are not your thoughts, you're not your feelings, you're not your hopes or fears. Because I think for a while when I started out meditation, I couldn't really separate like my brain activity, my thoughts, and my beingness. Like it felt like that is who I am. My thoughts are who I am. And when I have an active mind, then like I can't find a place to settle down. But as time has gone on, it's like I've kind of separated the two, where I can have like a really active mind, but be like observing or noticing, I guess, noticing it from like another place, where it's like, oh, well, the mind is active today.
Yeah.
And the house is really loud. There's a lot of noise. It's just the same thing. Like,
right. That's the stuff out there. You know, it's like, it's like, okay, there's all this stuff going on. Maybe that's the noise in the house. Maybe that's the noise in the mind. And people think, oh, for meditation to be, or for tranquility to be, I've got to have it be like this. And yeah, it's nice when it's like that. But guess what? It doesn't matter, because you're not this or this. You're this. That's seeing this or seeing this. And this is the same. Right? So when you said a minute ago, oh, you've been able to separate it out, of course, and I know what you mean. It's not that there was actually two things that were together that you had to actually separate. What you've done is you've come to more and more clearly notice that they were always separate,
Mhm.
that you were never this stuff. We just got caught in the misapprehension of thinking we're this stuff. It's like thinking you're the noise in the room. All right. So I come back to a question that was posed by one of my teachers years ago that I use once in a while. He said, if you were a Buddha, right? If you were an awakened, completely awakened person, without even necessarily knowing it, what exactly is that? What does it mean to be a Buddha, an awakened person? Doesn't matter. If you were a Buddha, what would you want to change about what you're experiencing right now? Everyone, I'm throwing this question out to you. If you were a Buddha, what would you want to change about what you're experiencing right now? Cole, I know you know the answer to this.
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing, right? As the old song goes. What is that? War. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Yeah, same answer. What would, and everyone knows that answer. Everyone knows that answer, even if they haven't read, page 1 of Buddhism 101, Enlightenment 101. Doesn't, we all intuitively understand that the problem is not any of this stuff out here. It's just thinking, being caught up in thinking that we're that stuff, and that a Buddha somehow has realized herself or himself as the beingness that's separate from that, and therefore is not changed by that, is not affected by that. By the way, as you said, the particular approach, the onboarding, as you say, approach that we took tonight, yeah, I like that very much as well. And something I like about that particular one also is I think you'll find that, again, going back to this, starting as we progress in our practice, to more and more erase the artificial line between so-called meditation and so-called life. That this is one we can kind of take with us.
Right.
Right? You can be walking down the street and seeing, oh, the beautiful, elegant silence of the trees, of the pavement, of the clouds. Right? That silence is all around you. That perfect, pristine beingness is all around you. And it's also that, that there it's easier to see. Then it might be a little harder first to see. It's also, in the loud cars whizzing past you, that even in all their loudness and all their motion, they're also that perfect silence, that perfect beingness. And then more and more we get to see that's all there is here. That's all there is. And it's interesting that, in the so-called separating things out, eventually we come around to there's no separation. Right? Everything winds up reunited. But now everything's a song cue tonight. Reunited, so good, right? Everything's reunited. But what's different is what before it started off, everything was all mixed together on the level of noise and problem and suffering. Right? Then we get it separated out. Oh no, that's all the noise out there. I'm the silence in here. And then we eventually get reunited, but it's on the level of it's all silence. It's all pristine beingness, which is immune to suffering. Right? That's the full trip. Right? And isn't it, I can see you getting this, Cole. I can see you've got enough of the flavor of it. You've had enough of the, that little sample spoon they give you in the ice cream parlor to be able to have some sense of what the full sundae is going to be like. Whereas if we'd had this conversation right a year or two ago, might not have made much sense to you. Right? And that's one of the beautiful things as you continue to practice and your practice gets deeper and clearer, you come back to these things that you've heard before, read before, and now, yeah, it's making sense now. It's making sense to me in terms of my own experience. Yeah, it's a lovely thing.
Yeah, I have been enjoying just the whole process of meditating. I feel like initially I questioned everything, and I find myself questioning this practice less and less.
Mm-hmm.
I'm noticing how I'm like I just know it. Like it's hard to just say like that's it, but
Yeah.
it's I have that feeling that like, oh, okay, I know what that is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. This is true wealth, by the way. This is the one thing no one can take away from you, no matter what happens. Everything else, we love our little house in Santa Monica, but we're in the tsunami zone here. Right? Anything's possible. But this is the thing that no one can take away, that nothing can take away. Yeah.